What is going on, everyone? This is Miles with Windows Central Gaming, and welcome to the 63rd episode of Xbox Chaturdays. Today, I am stoked to be joined once again by my good pal, the sultry tones of one Mr. Colt Eastwood. Colt, how you doing on this fine Saturday, my dude?
Very sultry.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be here. It's good to set up and do this, man. Thank you for having me.
It's been a little bit, but excited to have you back on. It's been an interesting week. There's actually been a lot of news to dive into. So we're going to be talking about Xbox Game Pass's lineup for April. We're going to be talking about the Coalition flexing their Unreal muscles with the Unreal Engine 5 demo that we saw. We're going to be talking about Halo Infinite Season 2. We're going to be talking about a couple of remakes that I'm particularly excited about, and so much more. But before we dive into all of that, Colt, for the amazing people watching on youtube.com and listening on audio services, let everyone here know who you are and where they can find you.
Well, I'm Colt Eastwood. I'm mostly an Xbox-centric YouTuber. You can find me at Colt Eastwood, and I just create videos every week. I do a weekly podcast like Miles does. I try to be like Miles, pretty much.
Aw.
Is how life goes. And it's been really, really great. And then, like you said, there's been a lot of news. The news has been really weird this past couple of months. So I'm interested to talk about it today because it's the kind of the angles and the weird, like some bad news, some good news, some cool stuff. And there's so much anticipation. So everybody's kind of itching and scratching right now. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, if you've been an Xbox fan and an Xbox enthusiast who's absorbed in the Xbox focused news, there hasn't been a ton this past basically year. We had the Activision Blizzard stuff, which started the year big. We're like, oh dang, it's going to be a massive, huge
Right.
year for Xbox news, and then it's been a little quiet on the Xbox news front. So I'm excited to have you on because we have some stuff to talk about today. Some quick housekeeping before we dive into it. If you are listening on if you're listening on audio services, be sure to leave us a review. I've been saying this the last few episodes, but we are late to the game for the audio versions, and the reviews help get that out to more folks. Without further ado, let's dive straight into topic number one, and that is the list of games coming to Xbox Game Pass for the first half of April. So we knew about MLB The Show, but here's the list of the other titles coming to the service in the first few weeks. So we have Cricket 22 on April 5th. We have Chinatown Detective Agency on April 7th, Life is Strange True Colors, April 12th, Panzer Corps 2, April 12th, The Dungeon of Naholdbek, The Amulet of Chaos, April 12th.
Perfectly said.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. No, I will be taking 0 notes. Thank you very much. Lost in Random, April 14th. So Xbox Game Pass started off 2022 really, really strong. January was probably one of the biggest months ever for huge releases in the service. And they've been trying to do a consistent job of getting stuff like Guardians of the Galaxy and other compelling third-party titles to fill the slate while we wait for Xbox first-party games. So how are you feeling about the list of games for the first half of April? Anything in particular jumping out at you?
Well, yeah, I played probably 8 hours of MLB The Show 22 already. I played probably 20 or 25 hours of it last year. I built my custom character that I try to make look like me. It's really hard to make a professional Major League Baseball player look like a total dork, but I can make it happen. But I grew up in baseball, so that game just captures the wonder of the sport. So I've been playing that, and Guardians of the Galaxy is like the major hit, and Xbox Game Pass is bringing that to the light because people are afraid to play that, Miles. They thought they were going to get burned like they did with the Avengers, and it's not even the same thing. And now people are like, oh my gosh, Guardians of the Galaxy is amazing. I played it at launch, completely loved it, and yeah, we're expecting some big heavy hitters, Miles. That's one of the things that happened. Stalker 2 got delayed. That was like the big AAA exclusive for Xbox in the spring or late winter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we would wait until the summer when Dark Tide and maybe Redfall kind of squeaking in there in the summer or autumn season. And yeah, it's been a really tough year, and all that stuff's out of everybody's control. But Xbox had to step up and bring some big stuff to Game Pass. So Guardians of the Galaxy is a good start. They need to grab something that's like brand new, as we say over here, the day and dates.
Day and date, people get excited about those day and dates, Cole. They get real excited about it. I'm glad you brought up Guardians of the Galaxy and your affinity for it, because we got some interesting details from basically an interview with Eurogamer about Guardians of the Galaxy basically getting a second wind, and Xbox Game Pass seems to be taking a little bit of credit for that, because a lot of people are now, you know, able to play this game without the financial woes or concerns. Because the interesting thing about Guardians of the Galaxy is this wasn't a case of Avengers where it wasn't reviewed well. The fan and
Right.
critical reception of Guardians of the Galaxy was really strong. I had people telling me like consistently, "Yo, play Guardians of the Galaxy. It's a legit one of my game of the year contenders." And hearing that, like that, those aren't words that I were expecting to associate with a Marvel game, if I'm being honest. And I think
Sure.
a lot of us were in the same camp. So let me share some choice quotes from
Choice.
some developers from Guardians of the Galaxy here. So when speaking with Eurogamer, senior narrative director Mary DeMarle said, "For me, it's all about creating the game. What I love right now is that people, especially with Game Pass, are playing it and they're sharing the experience. We make games to touch people, we make games to hit an audience, and it's great that it's finding an audience, and it's great that it keeps going forward." So it's hard to say definitively that Xbox Game Pass is the cure all for a soft launch, but with more and more people speaking out about the benefits of the service, it's evident that in some cases it can make a huge difference. So,
Yeah.
are there any
I mean, I'll s
titles that you think could benefit from a launch into Xbox Game Pass who maybe struggled to find their audience at launch?
well, it's kind of weird. It seems like some games that you don't think will succeed should go to Game Pass, but Game Pass itself is a catalyst for success. But Guardians of the Galaxy was so perfectly set for
Hmm.
Xbox to reach out and say, "Are you sure you don't want to be on Game Pass day one?" Because I think Square Enix knew that they had a big thing with Guardians of the Galaxy. It was a big investment. It's an
Mhm.
expensive IP. The production levels were to the top. The game's really great, but I think they knew, when you're a publisher, when pre-orders are low, your expected forecast. And I think they knew this. And I'm pretty sure, I would assume that Sarah Bond or whoever was like, "Are you sure you don't want to cut a deal?" And I think they realized, "Well, we'll just write it out," and it didn't pan out. But when I think about coming up this summer or maybe this late fall, Plague's Tale Requiem is coming to Game Pass at day one. Now, Plague's Tale is a game that was absolutely amazing, but
Yes,
people didn't know it
yes.
until it got its cult following and word of mouth. So the sequel really doesn't need to try different avenues of getting out to an audience, but they're going day and date on Game Pass. So it's weird for us to say like which ones should be or which ones could be. At this point, I think the market has proven that if you put your game on Game Pass, you're going to get a check from Xbox. And then you're going to sell the game on Xbox because it'll boost sales with friends seeing you playing the game. And then you're going to sell all the copies on PlayStation. You're going to sell games on PC. It's really molded the industry approach of how publishers are selling their games and getting them out to the market. And it's just taken a little while for that feeling of friction to ease off, I suppose. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah, Game Pass is quote unquote disruptive. I know it's a
Yeah.
overused cliche in the business world, but it really is. And there were some legit skepticisms about how the service would work, how people would get paid. If we look at parallels in other industries, Spotify is the big glaring one that a lot of people point to and say, this service is not good for me as a musician. We see people say that time and time again about how little they make. And so there were some concerns with Game Pass that might be the case, but time and time again, people are coming out and saying, not only am I getting paid for it and I'm getting paid well, the marketing buzz that I get from this game is increasing the sales. And at the end of the day, for what a lot of people developers want is players to play the game. Like for a lot of them, obviously they need to make money, but a lot of these developers just want people to experience and play something that they spent years of their life on. And that's kind of the beauty of Xbox Game Pass. I think what's really fascinating if we look at the Guardians of the Galaxy as this standalone entity compared to the wide scope of the video game industry is that there is no guaranteed recipe for success with a big budget game anymore. You had
Sure.
Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, which is based on a huge Marvel, one of the biggest brands in the world. So there's automatically appeal there, and it reviewed incredibly well. And so when you have a game that's based on a beloved franchise IP come out and review really well, and it still doesn't hit the mark, you can't blame the developer, you can't blame the publisher. That just shows you that no matter what you do, sometimes it just doesn't work the way you want it to.
I guess you can only blame the fans or the anti-fans of Avengers. It was such a horrible situation, and my close friends that I talked to on Xbox, we were all playing the game and we dipping in and out of parties when we're talking about it, and we all love the game to death, and you could just see the echoing across the canyons of haters. Like, I'm not touching, another Avengers or Marvel game like that, with Spider-Man doing the Zumba.
Yeah.
So, it's so weird, Miles. I got to ask you. Well, actually, I got to ask this incredible chat and the audience of over 100 people who are watching. Like, hit the like button if you're having fun. I mean, Miles puts on a dang good show. Show him your support. He's amazing. But let me take the interview position. Ask Miles. Miles, do you think that Xbox maybe isn't offering quite enough to bring in those big AAA new games day and date? Because maybe they look at and say, hey, we have 25 million subscribers. A game like yours would typically get about 1 million or 2 million people playing. How about we give you this much to cover what you wouldn't sell on the Xbox outright? How do you think that works?
We know it's different per game. They have straight up said that the terms and conditions are going to be dependent on the game. So I'm sure there are a lot of factors that go into it. Yeah, you look at pre-order numbers, you look at expected sales from the developer and publisher, you look at the buzz and publicity of the game itself, and there's all of these pieces that need to come together and quantify an amount. So Xbox needs to come to you and say, all right, we're going to give you this up front, and then we're going to give you X number of dollars for each milestone in terms of players. And then maybe they say, all right, well, if we see a percentage increase in subscribers for that month, that we can associate with this title, maybe we'll throw in some perks there. So there's probably all of these pieces that need to come together, and it probably is expensive because you have a lot of publishers who maybe don't have experience with it and aren't familiar with it, saying, well, I'm expecting to sell X million copies of this game, so sure, I need you to give me X million dollars for this game to put it on the service. And if it's day and date, it's probably way more expensive to do that up front. Like, I was joking about if they did Elden Ring, that it would probably be like a $500 million get. And people are like, what are you talking about? That's absurd.
Yeah.
And then you look at how many copies Elden Ring sold, and you look at the trajectory of that game, and you look at how it is the biggest game of all time. And then, what if Bandai did that? And what if Bandai did that for, like, let's say 50 million? And then they're like, damn, we could have got so much more. And so that's why I think with bigger games, it's harder, because chances are, to some capacity, it will sell. And in the case of Guardians of the Galaxy, if it doesn't, you can come back around and say, all right, it's been a few months. Let's renegotiate some terms here. And if I remember correctly, the amount that Guardians of the Galaxy was like 4 to 5 million, according to somebody on Twitter. I don't know where they got that information.
How many sold?
But no, they were saying that that's how much it cost to get it on the service. It was like $4.5 million ish. So,
jeez.
Again, I don't know that info is verified, but this is coming from an industry analyst who was putting that information out as the getting cost of Guardians of the Galaxy in Game Pass. So that, a few months later, that's, in the grand scheme of things, not too much. 4-ish million?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you think about all the other games that they're paying to get in there, because every 2 weeks you get, 8 games, right? On Game Pass at least. Seems like it.
Oh, it's impossible to keep up. Like, when Game Pass first launched, I remember, going out of my way to try every single game that came in service. It's like, all right, cool, I'm gonna check this out. Right. I'm gonna check that. And now it's like, none, I can't. I'm not even gonna bother. Like, over half these games, I know I don't need to play every single game in the world. I just can't. And I need to stop. And Game Pass continues to be like, all right, here's 20 games every single month. And that is exciting. But it is kind of like the Netflix approach, in a sense where they're giving something for everyone, but you don't necessarily, it's not all for you. So it's nice in that sense that there is
It's
a,
trash.
a
People are like,
sprinkling. Yeah.
yeah, they'll see some
Yeah.
games that don't interest them. They're like, "That's trash." It's like that's every like I can't you can't go on a Spotify and go, "Oh, that album's trash." Like that's a lot of stuff that's not for me.
Exactly. And that's not a problem. I don't think there's a fundamental problem with something not being for you. But I think, again, when we're looking at the roots of Game Pass, I think that's where it comes from. Because it was
Well,
just,
here's a funny thing, and I'll ask the chat. Like, you're paying $120 a year for Game Pass. Do you feel like you get $120 worth of games every year? Like, I did the calculations of the games I played in Game Pass, and I think I got like $600 or $800 worth of games that I would have bought. Like, some were 20, some were 60, and I played that many on Game Pass last year. It
yeah,
saved
it's
me hundreds of dollars.
if you buy
I
two
switched to
full
Geico.
price games, if you buy two full price games in a year, in one calendar
Mhm.
year, that pays for a year of Game Pass. And so if you're someone who plays video games a lot, that is an app. Like you said, this is coming close to $1,000 worth of games for Colt. And
Let
even
me
if
say
you,
something.
oh, don't do it. What do you?
I like every once in a while on the twitter.coms, I like to say that games are essentially free on Game Pass. I always use the word essentially because it really triggers people because I know you can say technically, like in the physics of the universe, if I'm paying for Game Pass, it's not free. But it's so funny if you use me looking as 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 an engineer who took like 19,000 math classes. If you pay $120 and you get $800 back in what you would have paid, it's essentially free. It drives people crazy. I got to say, this Godfall gameplay, if chat, Miles is showing his Godfall gameplay that he's been playing. He's like, hey, this game's not half bad, but it looks pretty cool. When you see great visuals and cool combat, you have to wonder what it is about the game that made it so such a low rating. But tell us what you think of the game in 1 second.
Yeah, so I'm going to be doing a deeper dive on this over on Windows Central, but yeah, so I've been checking out Godfall. I played the PS Plus version of Godfall when that hit a couple months ago to check because I was morbidly curious. I remember when the game came out,
Yeah,
it
like the
did not
demo
review
thing.
well. It did not have a ton of positive momentum out of the gate, and there's been a ton of expansions, a ton of content for it, and so I was like, all right, I'll check out this PS Plus version. Did nothing for me. The PS Plus version that they gave you for free was like a weird demo-ish type thing where you
Mhm.
did the tutorial, and then from the tutorial, it threw you straight into the end game. Gave you a max level character, all the super high level gear, and it just threw you at the
Oh.
so you didn't get the campaign at all. You just got to beat max level at the end of the game, and I had no idea what was going on, no idea what to do. I'm like, this is dumb. Why are they using this as a way to introduce people to it? And sure, if you have buddies who are diehard into Godfall and you just want to play with them, cool, whatever. Revisiting it with the full version of the game on Xbox, it's a lot more interesting. You're eased into things. You have a better understanding of the mechanics. Yeah, the game is absolutely gorgeous. The combat is solid. I'm like 8-ish hours in, so I haven't seen the deeper side of the loop, and I can already see how it's lacking in some ways in terms of being compelling. But if you want like a Devil May Cry or God of War, if it was a looter, it's not bad. I'm having
Or kind
fun.
of like someone said, kind of like Avengers, like you're throwing the shield like Captain America, you're slamming a
Yeah.
weapon. Like, I don't know. It's so funny. I just wrote in the chat that it's like almost the same score as Crackdown 3. Yeah, whatever.
And it's one of those things where Crackdown 3, I agree. If someone tells me that that game is a 6, I'm not going to argue that. I get it. I get that that's a
Mhm.
6. I still had fun. I still played Crackdown 3, enjoyed
Yeah,
it, had a good
I did
time.
too.
And that's kind of where I'm at with Godfall. Like, if you told me this is a 6, you don't like it at all, I get it. I understand. And if you tell me that you're having a great time with it, you love the game, then I also get it. Because there is, what's interesting about Godfall is all the pieces are there for what should be a really good game, but
Mhm.
it just feels like a video game video game where a
Yeah.
lot of the decisions are just like, hey, video games do this, so we have to do this. And that is where a lot of it feels like. So if you
Mhm.
just want to play a simple video game with shiny loot that you pick up and enemies that you kill, it scratches an itch. If you want something like Destiny where you can play for thousands and thousands of hours, it's probably in it. I would just say keep playing
Yeah.
Destiny. If you're already sucked into Marvel's Avengers, keep playing Marvel's Avengers. But if for whatever reason you haven't found a looter game that has clicked with you and you are desperate for a looter game, check it out. I mean, I think it's $30 right now, so it's not free. But
what's the old cartoon with the Thundercats or something like that? Is that what it is? That's what this game
Yeah.
reminds me of.
Thunder.
I never watched that. I didn't watch that, but I think that was Thundercats. Yeah, it looks cool though. I don't know.
Yeah,
Looks
so
like a 7.
I've seen people hyper negative on it, and like I
Yeah.
said, I understand. Like if you've played it and you didn't connect, like I get it. I do, because I played the PS Plus version. I was like, ugh, what is this game? Like this is not for me. I don't get who this is for. And now that I've actually got to like play through some of the campaign, I'm digging it a little more. I'm not going to say I'm loving it. I'm not going to say it's a great game. I would not go that far, but if you're looking for some mindless fun, grab some buddies, grab some beers, turn your brain off, and just kill some stuff. All right. All right, I'm gonna get to some super chats here. Quick shout out to the 175 people joining us live. If you are digging the show, smash that like button, share it out. If you are listening on audio services, go ahead and leave us a review if you are having a good time. Joshua says, oh, you just want me to say this again, don't you? Dungeons of Nahalbok is a great game I highly recommend. It takes a tabletop game and adds a snarky narrator and ridiculous characters in XCOM. All right, so some positive claim for Dungeons of Nahalbok. Mo B with super chat says, Miles, the man, the myth, the legend, Colt Eastwood. Let's go, everybody. Hit that like button. Mo, appreciate you. Using the super chat for good. Mr. Joanna Dark. Happy Chaturday to the GOAT, Miles Dompier, and hello to the incredible Colt Eastwood of XNC. Enjoying the show while I play Resident Evil Code Veronica. This troll, Mr. Joanna Dark is a troll, everyone, all right? He keeps baiting me with his Code Veronica takes. Incessantly. MJD, what is going on? RDX Son of Fett says, looks like Xbox outsold PlayStation and Switch in March. I've seen
Fails.
Oh my God. The narratives are shifting, Colt. And again, we got to be careful when we're using those narratives, because I've seen people who said that console sales don't matter anymore because the Xbox is shifting their business model. They're now screaming these console sales from the rooftops. I'm like, okay, but you don't get to pick and choose. You don't get to pick and choose when it matters. All right, you don't get to pick and choose.
I got in so much trouble for that, Miles, because somebody grabbed a tweet of mine from like 2 years ago. I said you can't use VG charts for Xbox anymore. Buddy.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, and then I'm like. Yeah, I had to sink
caught in 4K.
Caught in checkerboard in 4K with no VRR. Yeah, that was I don't know. I think the Xbox outselling the Switch and PS5 was in the UK only.
Yes.
But then I see Xbox guys go, you can't use UK. It's this big compared to the whole globe, and they're holding a globe in their arms.
You see that a lot when people are like, these are the sales of UK games for this. And like, UK is only a small percentage of the market. And then again, you see them taking the console sales and be like, Xbox is dominating console sales. It's exciting. It is interesting to see the pendulum swing in Xbox's favor and them getting some good momentum. Obviously, chip shortages are still a big deal, and that's still a key factor.
Let's talk about that for 1 second. Miles, a couple people in the chat are writing about that, because I did a video about the chip shortage, and some people were claiming, and journalists are writing based off of what Special Nick said on Xbox Era, and misquoting him worse than I did on my video, because I kind of paraphrased what Nick was hearing from a source. But they're framing it that Microsoft is paying for chip priority, and I try to hit home that I believe that AMD just sees Microsoft as a more advantageous customer or supply chain for them, because they have Surface has AMD components in there as a bespoke component, and Microsoft has all of these connections like for their servers and enterprise and consoles and all of the work they're doing with Windows. And so when you look at PlayStation, where they're putting their chips just in 2 PS5 SKUs, I don't know if they even use AMD components in their TVs, but they don't offer a lot of business opportunity for AMD. And so I think what we're hearing is they've shifted priority in the TSMC to create the chip wafers to get a massive supply to Xbox. Because the funny thing about this, Miles, was the very first year it was impossible to find a Series X, just like a
Mhm.
PS5. And then we started to see the Series S come in, and that was answered by you can make 2 times more chips for the Series S than you can the X. So Phil Spencer said, ramp up and get those S's out there because we're building Game Pass, we're building the platform, and the S is great. So that happened, but now we're seeing the Series X, the big tall tower, in stores online more often. Like right now, you could probably go to Walmart.com or Amazon and find one. And the only answer I have for that is they spent the first year filling up the X Cloud Game Cloud's cloud gaming server blades, and they must have kind of fulfilled that need for now. And now they're able to turn them into a box and put them in retail for console. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it is fascinating to start seeing consoles finally, after a long, long time, in the wild on a
Mhm.
somewhat consistent basis. Again, who knows what it's going to look like in the next couple months, but for now, there was like a straight day. There was a full day for the first time maybe ever where you could just get a Series X. And it wasn't like, "Oh dang, I
Yeah,
didn't catch this in the first 5 minutes. Well, oh well, guess I'll wait. I guess I'll try to get it next time around." So you bring up an interesting point about the business dynamics of a company like Microsoft, who has diverse, needs for chips. And if you're coming to AMD, you need to have some sort of compelling offer. Everyone needs chips. There is a chip shortage for phones, for computers, for consoles. Everyone is coming to them and saying, "We need this." So AMD is in a position where they can be like, "All right, well, make it compelling for us. We are doing everything we can to get chips out as fast as we can, and we are going to the people where this is going to make the most sense for us, from a business standpoint." And so again, I can't speak on if Microsoft is paying for priority. I don't know. I don't have that information. But if you are Microsoft and you can leverage all of the avenues of all of your different divisions, it probably is more compelling. AMD can just say, "All right, well, we can just ship Microsoft this. We can allocate this to Microsoft, and they can use it for all of these different avenues." Where, like you said, PlayStation, they have a console that is their main hardware driver, and that's still important. And we know companies aren't averse to using priority when it comes to shipping with PlayStation. They were paying for incredibly expensive shipping to get consoles out as fast as they can to try to meet demand. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that a company like Microsoft would be paying for priority. But I don't know that that is 100% what is happening in this case.
sure.
But
Yeah.
you do bring up an interesting point about the cloud, because again, we know that they were allocating a lot of chip resources to get xCloud upgraded to server X, or upgraded to Series X blades. And like you said, maybe
Yeah. Yeah.
the need is there for that, and they can start allocating those chips to hardware as well. But I've seen people spin that as a negative. Me, I'm just excited that people can go to the store and start buying the consoles they want.
Yeah, I
Because
know, and I agree with them spinning as a negative for those that wanted a console the first year. If I didn't have a console in the first month, I would be going crazy. But you know, the Xbox platform is more than just the console, so they have to have priority for PC and cloud and mobile and console. So I think they were trying to figure out, if we get these server blades built up, that'll be taken care of. But just to think that now the consoles are coming in where you can get a Series X where it was impossible before. The source I talked to said that Xbox was waiting on this 3-month allocation, and it lined up right in this time of the year. And now we're seeing this flood of consoles coming in. The other part of my source says that Xbox kind of has the advantage for the chip wafers right now at the TSMC for the next 9 months. So they're speculating that PlayStation 5 won't see a relief in PlayStation 5s being shipped and manufactured until the spring of next year, which kind of lines up with the way that Jim Ryan has talked about the console shortages and when it'll be alleviated, because Xbox hasn't said that they're going to wait until 2023 when people will finally be able to get them. It's all kind of coming together. We'll see if it's the truth, but you say what will happen in a couple months. I'm wondering if PlayStation will have supply issues and not sell as many consoles for the next several months.
yeah, it'll be really interesting to see. And really, the comparisons right now, they are interesting, and it is kind of fascinating to dive into it. But really, it'll be more interesting when both systems are widely available.
That will be great.
So that
Because
way
I
we
know
can
it's
have
it's not.
true comparisons to see what the interest is, because it's
Yes.
everything that's out for the most part is just selling. And if you have more out, guess what? You win that month. Sorry.
Yes, because the demand for PlayStation 5 is higher than the Xbox Series S and X. But and it's not fun to talk about like chips being, created and baked and all that stuff, but it is kind of fun to look at how the numbers are going to shift. And one big difference to close this part out, Miles, is that last generation, everyone was pretty much told that the Xbox One was not the console to get, and for many good reasons. But
Mhm.
but now this generation, the Xbox Series S and X, plus the games and everything, the whole platform is very alluring. And PlayStation has always been very alluring. So you've got these, like you just said, you got two mega awesome gaming systems. You got the Nintendo, which won't slow down, and they've got just more surprises coming. So like you can't lose. But we'll still
It is
fight
really
about it.
exciting because there's so much positive momentum across the board. When you look at last generation, I've been an Xbox fan, love Xbox, but when people came to me last gen and said, I don't feel the need for an Xbox One, it broke my
Yeah.
heart, but I got it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even bother arguing. I'm like, all right, yeah, PlayStation has a ton of great games. I get if you only have a PlayStation. This time around,
Mhm.
you can look at the Xbox ecosystem, you can look at Game Pass, you can look at their exclusives and say, if you really are excited about gaming, even if you prefer PlayStation, even if you prefer Nintendo, if you're someone who dabbles in multi-platform, Xbox is doing a lot of great things. And that makes this entire conversation way more compelling because it's not a situation where one obvious person is the runaway success, which if we look at the last few generations, that's kind of been the case, at least for certain stretches. This time
Sure.
around, all three coming out of the gate hot. And there is this cool energy in the entire industry, and there's a lot more people investing in it and a lot more people understanding that gaming is a big thing that's not going away. Gaming isn't this weird niche hobby. It's something that most people do. And with that comes a lot of investment, and with that investment comes a lot of great hardware and a lot of great games, Colt. No matter
Oh
where no
yeah.
matter where you play. Obviously, Xbox centric show. I can confidently say Xbox is my main platform that I play on, but I don't think I've ever had a generation where I've been dabbling in all three as consistently. Every few months I'm like, "Oh damn, Nintendo's dropping this. Oh damn, PlayStation's dropping this." So, it's
Yeah.
exciting. And I understand, of Matt Piscatello was saying that there's only a super small percentage of people who have both. And I understand that consoles are expensive as hell, and you can't just be like, "Yeah, I want to play everything, so
Yeah.
let me spend $2,000 to get all of the consoles, and then 1 year of online gaming for all of these consoles." I get that most people can't do that, but to
Yeah.
say right now that one platform is bad or doing poorly it's a little whack.
Dumb.
Let me just say that. It's a little whack, all right?
It's dumb.
I'm gonna get to a couple super chats, and we're gonna transition into our next topic. Quick shout out to the 224 people joining us live on this glorious Saturday. If you are digging the show, hit that like button, share it out. If you are new to the show, we are live every Saturday on youtube.com/Windows Central Gaming at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. RDX, Son of Fett says, shout out to Tunic, my Xbox Zelda fantasy. Oh, you love to see it. Love to see it.
Mm-hmm. Crap, I need to go back to that.
I know. I started it and then went straight back to Elden Ring.
I know. Yeah, it's I haven't had that where I've been distracted away from games that I was liking. It's been very rare. The spring's been nuts.
Yeah, it's been busy. My backlog is stacked, and then I can't stop playing Elden Ring. I just keep making new characters, keep diving back, and I have all these games that I start, and I'm like, oops, I'm just gonna go back to
Yep.
Elden Ring. Nick W says, I bought both, and I'm super glad I did. I enjoy both my PS5 and Series X. Yeah, that's good energy to have. I like that. I appreciate that. All right, Colt. Another exciting nugget of news and tech juiciness that Xbox fans got this week came by way of the State of Unreal stream held by Epic Games. And part of this stream involved a couple new reveals. It involved a breakdown of what to expect from the future of the tech, and we got to see the Coalition deliver a cinematic in-engine demo of what they're able to do with Unreal Engine 5. So the tech wasn't necessarily representative of a game that they were working on, but it showcased new lighting techniques, new texture techniques, the metahuman and their eyeballs specifically, which I gotta say, the eyeballs of the
Yeah.
metahumans are like, they're kind of scary because they're very realistic. And that, you know, with video games, you can often look at the eyes and say, oh, that's a video game. That is a video game eye. With the metahuman, we're getting close to Uncanny Valley here, where it's getting hard to distinguish between
Close to
this.
getting out of the uncanny valley. There
Yeah.
was a clip I watched yesterday. I watched the whole state of Unreal. It's so weird saying that. I watched the whole stream and they showed a female character and I thought it was going to be like an Unreal employee talking, but she didn't do anything. She's just kind of moving her eyes around and there wasn't that weird like mechanical thing going on. I'm like, holy smokes. And I got in a lot of discussions about the Unreal thing because when the Coalition dropped this tech demo, of course, the other side of the non-Xbox fans were like, our games look better than your tech demo. And I tried to explain to people like, this is a tool. Like, this is a tool set where you create something. Like, you don't just turn on an engine and it makes amazing games. It's the magic happens with the talent and the people who know how to work it. Like, I can't give you a copy of Photoshop and say, hey, now you're awesome at making stuff look incredible. You have to learn how to use those tools. But there are a bunch of things that are brand new to Unreal that we're going to dive into with this discussion. There are millions of things at your disposal if you're using Unreal, which 6 of Xbox's first-party studios are using Unreal 5 right now, where they'll get access to high-quality, realistic, fully detailed assets that they can animate and model. I did a whole video about it. It's coming out on Sunday. It's crazy. It really is going to take gaming to the next level when you talk about the uncanny valley and realism.
Yeah, I've had some developer buddies who are working on some indie projects that have been dabbling with Unreal 5 send me some stuff that they're working on and send me some stuff they're dabbling with the metahuman. And yeah, they're able to whip up these incredibly realistic, believable characters in very little time. Like the amount of effort that goes into crafting a really believable character now with Unreal Engine 5 is way faster than it's ever been. And like you said, there are things that are going to make it easier, but at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the talent. And it's exciting to know that Epic Games is partnering with the Coalition on a lot of the core features of Unreal 5, because the Coalition has proven to be one of the best developers with that. If you look at what they were able to achieve with Gears 5 on the base Xbox One, the base Xbox One is the best example, because that game on the base Xbox One still looks better than most games that came out last gen, and that is absolutely wild. So that
people don't get that. They really don't. People like dismiss Gears because it's an older franchise. It's been around for almost 20 years. I think in 2026 it'll be. Oh my gosh! Yeah, I mean it's been around for 15,
almost 20.
15
Damn,
years.
you're making me feel old, Colt.
The gray hairs.
Oh no.
I mean, Digital Foundry famously said that they are up in the upper echelon of the top designers and creators like Naughty Dog. And Gears 5 looks fantastic. And I try to highlight this in videos. The Coalition, you're right, they're way up there for amazing looking visuals. And I think they're going to really elevate the next game. I'm also covering that really soon. So yeah, that's really cool. Unreal Engine 5 is going to be a big deal. Like you were talking about how they can build a realistic character model fairly quickly. From what I saw is they have access to a fully modeled character. They can bring the character in and start changing features to customize it to what they want in the game. And if you take a fully realistic looking human and you model it into something that can be otherworldly and keep it grounded in realism, you are like well on your way to making a top looking character in like in a space RPG or anything. Like there's going to be some crazy stuff coming. I can't wait to see what they're going to do.
It's an exciting time because new engines, they're always exciting. And it's not, for the average person, like knowing about the specific lighting techniques and the shader techniques, things like Xbox Velocity architecture, for example, that is boring to talk about to the average person. When you talk about the meat that goes into that engine and making that work, that is not boring. But once we start seeing what that means for a game, what I'm most excited about is seeing how this transforms open world games. When we start seeing open world games utilizing Unreal 5 and, being able to offset the render distance, being able to offset some of the stuff we sort of like grass popping in when you're playing Forza. As much as I love Forza Horizon,
Yeah.
when you're
Yeah.
playing it, you can see the grass pop in, like at a not a far distance away. And if you ignore it, it's easy to ignore. But if you notice it, it can break that immersion a little bit. And I'm excited to see these tools evolve and change. So those little things that we basically had to deal with in the past as a shortcoming, now we have tools that will kind of overcome those in some way. So I know you did a video breaking down, of what we saw in this kind of state of Unreal, but how are you feeling about the future of this tech and specifically the future of Xbox with Unreal Engine 5?
Well, I mean, it's not just Unreal Engine 5 because barring slip space for Halo, which is not a proven brand new engine yet, in my opinion, Xbox has some of the top game engines in their repertoire now. They have id Tech, and then they have Creation Engine for Fallout and Starfield, which we make fun of Creation Engine because it's very janky, but the things you do in a Bethesda game are so immersive and evolving, and all the mechanics that they build in are great. So their next iteration is going to be great. And then you've got Unreal with Obsidian for Avowed and Outer Worlds 2 and Grounded and Exiles. Steampunk RPG. They're working on a steampunk RPG in Unreal Engine 5. Ninja Theory's Hellblade is in Unreal Engine 5, and I talk about this in the video in a couple days about how, well, it's tomorrow. Yeah, I talk about their Ninja Theory's team is so they're so amazed at their own work, the way they've been talking. So we're gonna have some cool stuff to see. It's just a software set. It's just a tool set. Like, we can't get excited about somebody going in there and clicking and dragging and dropping and bringing in, trees for programming and all these little tree call outs and all weird stuff they do. But Unreal is one of the most prolific engines in the game industry. And it's made some of the most amazing cinematic games that we've played over the past 30 years. So I think they've been around almost that long. So I'm excited. I'm glad that Xbox is partnering with Unreal Engine 5. I'm also glad they have things like Forza Tech and id Tech. id Tech's another amazing one for Doom and whatever else they're making with Wolfenstein. I had to wonder if they were going to use id Tech for... I mean, I think they are. I'm assuming that Machine Games is going to id Tech for this Indiana Jones game. Have you thought about that?
It makes sense. If they're already familiar with that engine, they know how it plays. That makes sense. A lot of these teams, a lot of the reason that Unreal continues to be so popular is that it's been iterated on in so many ways and people understand it. So they can just focus on the improvements. They don't need to relearn an entire engine from the ground up. And that's why, even though in some cases certain proprietary engines can do some things better, that's why a lot of teams will go out of their way to make an engine. They have a vision for what they want the game to be, and they look at Unreal and say, Unreal right now doesn't have the solution for exactly what I want, so I'm making this. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of resources, and then you have to learn that engine. Unreal has been around for a long time, so people can just understand it, iterate on it. But when it comes to Machine Games and id Tech, I have to imagine that, they are familiar with that tech, so it would make perfect sense for them just to utilize that with Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about... I don't know a whole lot about it, but it's all about just modifying and manipulating something to get the result you want. And we've seen that where studio makes a really great game and then they make a different game, and you can see some of the echoes of the old, like they were modifying the heck out of the game they made before. And like I think about Outriders, like they made Bulletstorm was their big game they made before that, like 10 years before. And you have to wonder, like, how do we take this and modify it and make a open world, type game? And it's all about the magic behind the curtain, tricking the gamer into getting into this and not seeing the magic behind the curtain. Like Uncharted 2, there was a pretty famous video where someone did a mod and pulled the camera away during the train level where you're hanging off the train going through the canyon, and they pulled the camera away. And basically there's a snake of the ride. It's like a Disney ride where they pulled it away, and the way that, that these people get you like you're in this world, but really it's like if you come outside of it, it's kind of broken apart and looks really funky. But they kind of get you in a situation where you're inside this amazing ride. It's really cool tech.
Yeah, it's like a magic act. If they can sell you on the illusion and they can immerse you in this, you're willing to believe it. You're willing to believe you're in this huge expansive world because it feels like it. But then again, if there's a shortcoming in the tech and you see the dude in the corner in his weird little
Mhm.
black suit and you're like, "Wait a second, this isn't real. This oh damn." And then you get pulled out of it. So again, that is the fascinating thing about games. They've been doing this for years and years. You go back to PS1 era and you had these cubes, you had these you'd play. I've been playing Chrono Cross lately, going back and
Uh-huh.
revisiting
Uh-huh.
that. And when you get into a battle sequence, they have this sprawling landscape and they have all these trees and all these environments, and they sell you that you're in this space. And then I look closely at the background and I can tell it's just a series of flat walls with repeating pictures. They painted trees, and you can see the lines where they
Yeah.
basically like copied and pasted all these trees to make you feel like you're in this space. And once
Well,
upon a
like a
time, that was believable. That was amazing.
well, like a boulder is like a hollow, like paper thin thing that if you happen to clip through it. But I've been playing games for so long, and I know all about the magic behind the curtain, right? We know like how it's not real. But to their credit, all of the games I play, I feel like it's all working. Like I feel immersed. I feel like I'm in the world. I'm playing Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, and it's a cell shaded game, but I feel like this is a location that they created that I'm in, and the immersion is still always there. So shout out to them for making it all happen.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of games and movies. It's just selling you on the illusion and getting you immersed in that world. And we got to talk about you mentioned 6 teams that on the Xbox side are working with Unreal 5. So we saw Rare on that list. We saw Ninja
Yep.
Theory, Double Fine, In
Mhm.
Exile, Obsidian Entertainment, The Initiative, and Undead Labs are all confirmed to be
Nice
working
memory.
on something. I wrote it down, so it's not, can't take too much credit. I got a cheat sheet over here. All right.
I'm kind of using my slight photographic memory to see that background, and I was kind of seeing him as just good job, buddy.
Huge list of developers and a huge list of Xbox centric or Xbox first party studios working with Unreal 5. So I gotta say, we know roughly what a lot of these teams are working on, but what are you most excited to see from these teams when it comes to projects and the possibilities with Unreal 5?
Avowed,
Oh
because we
yeah.
can only assume that we're going to get a next generation Skyrim from Obsidian. They're the master class of RPG. They do things better than Bethesda when it comes to choice and accountability. And
I would say
when I think
characters,
about
this might be controversial, but I think they do
yeah,
characters better.
character and storytelling, Fallout New Vegas stomps Fallout 3, and Fallout 3 is incredible. So I can only expect Avowed to be an amazing Unreal Engine 5 modern, I don't know how to say it, like in this generation, because Skyrim is still fantastic even if you load it up today, but the game is 10 years old. And so I'm really looking forward, or how old? 10? Yes, 10 years old.
Something like that.
And yeah, 10 years old. Sorry. Yeah. Almost 12 years old. Yeah, it's fantastic. I just like totally forgot what I'm saying. But yeah, Avowed, I'm really excited about Avowed, and the initiative is working on Perfect Dark and Unreal Engine 5 with Crystal Dynamics, who also announced in that show, Miles, that they are starting to prepare the start of development for a new Tomb Raider game. And I'm like, should Xbox get a piece of this puzzle right now? Or like, I thought we were like hoping that Xbox might think about just picking up Crystal Dynamics and bringing them on as a full-time team, but that kind of threw a wrench in the gears of what we're expecting to see from the initiative in Crystal Dynamics.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of interesting speculation regarding this whole Square Crystal Dynamics dynamic, if you will, because a lot of people were like, mad at Square for throwing Crystal Dynamics seemingly under the bus with
Yep.
Avengers. And then, we saw Square basically saying, all right, Crystal, you can go work on an Xbox. Bro, let's work with another publisher. Whatever. That's fine. A lot of us assumed that they didn't have anything coming down the pipeline outside of that then. But with this wrinkle with the Tomb Raider, it's assumed that this would be published by Square Enix as well. So that shows that maybe Crystal, isn't going to be acquired by Xbox, or that Square still sees value in Crystal, and they were just like, because of Daryl Gallagher's relationship, they were like able to convince Square to lend them some talent for this project and make it happen. Obviously, I'm probably getting a little piece of that pie in terms of some sort of financial investments, but yeah, it throws an interesting wrinkle in the speculation, or the acquisition speculation.
Accusation, speculation,
Accuspation.
acquisition.
So what do you think? Do you think there's a world where Xbox scoops up Crystal, knowing what we know about Tomb Raider now?
I've always kind of been 50-50, but this kind of puts me in maybe not, because really what Xbox should be doing is work with them through Perfect Dark. Perfect Dark hits great, and the relationship isn't strained, like everything's good like they've had before, because it was 5 or 6 years ago when they worked with Crystal Dynamics as far as Xbox working with them. So I think it's good to test run with them. And I'm sure if they had that talk, Miles, I'm sure they said, we'd love to work on Perfect Dark with you. We're probably going to do a Tomb Raider game in the future. And so that talk is like, we want to get that out of the gate, and then let's talk about the future after that. So maybe Xbox is well aware. Let's do Perfect Dark. Let's give you guys 4 or 5 years to build the next Tomb Raider. And then maybe we'll see what we can have you work on next with us, or maybe think about bringing you on. But there's no rush for that. They've already got 30 teams if Activision and Blizzard go through.
Yeah, exactly.
Senators don't stop it.
Exactly. If the government doesn't come down and try to take my Call of Duty out of Xbox Game Pass, I swear to the heavens, I will write to my senators if I can't play Call of Duty on Game Pass.
Dear sirs and madams concerned, I write thee this letter on my desk of choice. Yeah. Yeah,
I'm a big pen man, always have been, always will be. If I have to change pens, I swear to God. We're just having fun. We're just having a little fun here. Okay.
On the parchment I write thee. Yeah, like that.
That's
how they tweeted. That's how they were tweeting, Miles. They're like, hitherto for it to be known upon thine grace.
Section 17, Article 42B clearly states that. You know what game I'm excited to see in Unreal 5, Colt?
What's that? Yeah, I should ask you. Yeah, what game are you excited about?
I'm excited for Everwild. I've seen a lot of I guess pessimism. There hasn't been a lot of optimism regarding Everwild and Rare. There was a report that came out and basically insinuated that Everwild was in basically development hell. And
like every game is in development hell.
And
go ahead.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I wanted to have a conversation with you about that idea of development hell. And we often talk about enabling teams and giving teams the resources and time to iterate, and
autonomy.
And we often lambast publishers who force a team to do something that they didn't want to do. And then when we hear of teams being allowed to go back to the drawing board and go back to ideas, or maybe scrap ideas and start anew, it's development hell. So how are you feeling about Everwild, and how are you feeling about the state of new IPs? Should a team take whatever time they need to iterate a new IP, or should Big Papa Phil come down and say, you got 18 months, I don't care what it takes, get it done?
I don't think Papa Phil is saying that, and I'm pretty sure he's not saying this is your deadline. The thing with Everwild was I wasn't very excited about it for a while because I didn't know what kind of game it was. One of the things we heard, we don't even know if it's substantiated, was that
there's not a lot of
the game
confirmed info.
Went back to they kind of changed some of the concepts because they realized that they needed some kind of conflict and combat in the game, so they were changing it. And I had this epiphany, I talked about it on my show, and I kind of built it into a video that Everwild is my speculation is that Everwild is supposed to be a modern, more fully realized version of Viva Pinata. Now, as
Oh,
crazy as that
okay.
sounds,
Okay.
we don't understand what the game is, but I think what Rare is going for is a huge fantasy world with creatures that you'll discover as you go out. You would probably start in a meadow next to a tree, and then all of the flora and fauna and all of the wildlife. When you first approach them, you'll first get a name from them. Like, you don't know anything about this world that you've been casted upon, is what I'm assuming. And you have to you'll discover that flower is of this tree is of that type of creature is this type of creature, and it has a name. And everyone loves Viva Pinata, but if they take some of those concepts and they build it into a game where you find and discover these creatures, and then you discover what they can do, and then you learn to use them to help build up your world, build your settlement, and then defend it against other I don't know if you would call it like monstrous creatures, or if there's going to be other like bipedal enemies that you're going to take on if they're reimagining it. But when I was watching my son play Viva Pinata a couple weeks ago, it came to me, and I thought this could be a game where it's all about discovering these creatures, finding out what they do and what they can do when you get them to work together. This creature can help you bring down trees. This creature can help you collect this resource, and you start building stuff, and then you have to build up a whole settlement and protect it, and you can go out and discover and create things and fight things, and that could be really fantastic. And a game like that has the ability to win millions and millions and millions of people over, because so many video games are the same, but a game like Animal Crossing and Viva Pinata have won over so many people because they're so unique and they allow you to create and build and become creative. I just talked for a long time, but it's kind of hard to explain because we know nothing about the game.
Yes, there's not a lot of confirmed info when it comes to Everwild, but the things you touch on, that's what's exciting about Everwild is the possibilities. We heard initially, and again, I'm not going to say that this is the confirmed reality of the state of the game, but we heard initially that the original directive was no combat. They were going to make a big open world-ish multiplayer game with no combat. And obviously that comes with challenges. That's an idea that doesn't really get done, probably hasn't been done in a wide scale. And so again, it sounds like they're iterating on that idea, trying to make it work in a gameplay loop that's compelling. Because at the end of the day, they want to make sure this is fun, and they probably could do something with no combat that is interesting and unique and beautiful, but is that fun at the end of the day? And I think that's what they're really trying to nail home. So yeah, you touching on Viva Pinata, if this takes elements of, let's say, Pikmin, Viva Pinata, Pokemon, where you're this being in this world, partnering with nature, partnering with animals to, overcome obstacles, overcome maybe, yeah, like you said, maybe some kind of potential enemy, that to me has huge potential. And that to me would be incredibly compelling. If I could go online with the squad and I could immerse myself in this world like Sea of Thieves and just get lost in the experience and get lost in a loop that I haven't seen before. Because I always talk about this with Sea of Thieves, but the reason I think it's so special and so important is that team was able to come out and deliver an experience that we had never seen in a game. There was nothing like Sea of Thieves. There is nothing like Sea of Thieves. And I get that that's maybe not for everyone, and I'm not going to fault anyone for not connecting with that. But that to me is one of the most important things that we need to champion as supporters of games, is let these teams take risks. Sometimes they're not going to pan out, and it is what it is. But if we lambast a team or just attack a team every time they try something new, we're gonna have a million Godfalls and a million Avengers that are just the same game.
I mean, you have to. We can't get it twisted, because Rare is really good at what they do, and they haven't created a failure game in a long time. They have some smaller games in the 90s, but they've had so many great hits. And even Sea of Thieves, like you said, it's not for everybody, but it's actually been for millions of people. So it does something really well for that group of people that love it, and it's a big group. And I don't want to talk about this too long, Miles, but I made fun of Grounded when it was shown. I'm like, what is this? That is one of the most creatively impressive, awesome games that I've played with my kids. And like, not every game is going to be super mature like The Last of Us or like Gears or whatever. But that game, and I know you know because you have as much time as I do, that game does phenomenal things and no one realizes it. Like, it's got RPG elements, tiered gear and armor, and it's nuts. And the things you do in that game, like when I'm there, I don't, those visuals look so perfect to me, because if they looked any more realistic, I think my skin would crawl playing it if it had any more realistic visuals in it. But when I'm there, I play in the room or in the house with my kids. They're in other rooms with the headsets on. We're on Xbox Live. I feel like the three of us are stuck in this yard. It's really happening. And you have to let these teams create what they want to create. And I think most of the time it pays off. Unless it's Bleeding Edge from Ninja Theory.
That's another game that I liked but struggled with the loop. It had so many cool ideas, but the overall loop was just, it didn't quite hit in the way that it needed to. But Grounded, I love survival games. I play a ton of hardcore survival games like Ark, Rust, like I've gone down all DayZ, all of those rabbit holes. Grounded to me is probably my favorite survival game that's ever been made. Like the idea is so genius that when that came out, I remember telling myself, how has no one done this before? How has no one said, let's take Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and make that a game?
You were on board day one.
Yeah, so I was capped. Like, obviously the cartoon art style wasn't for everyone, and I wasn't sure how it was going to play, but I was sold on the concept. And then when I got my hands on it, they took all of the lessons that other survival games failed with and adapted it and evolved it. So it's got great combat, it's got great gear, it's got great building, it's got great enemies, and that's just a small project by a small team that was just allowed to.
It's 13 people, and people don't realize this. The game takes place in like the mid 80s, and you've kind of realized that as you play the game, like when you happen upon like a huge cassette tape. But it's really great, and I don't know, the art style is really good. I don't know, it's just weird. The bugs are simplified right in their own way. Like they're not hairy, they're not craggly, they're just. But you will. Oh, I can't tell you how many times I've been in this room and yelled like a total crybaby, like super loud, just like blew the microphone out, yelling when a wolf spider or something. Yeah. Anyway, but
it's good. Yeah, we got to give Grounded some love. It's a game like my wife isn't a huge gamer by any means. She plays occasional games here and there, but oddly enough, some of her favorite games are some of the most hardcore. So she loves State of Decay 2. Like she has, I think like 1,000 hours in State of Decay 2. And she doesn't play a lot of video games, and she loves Grounded. And her and I, that's a game that we can connect with, and we can both jump on and appreciate it for different reasons. And yeah, Grounded does not get enough love. There was the infamous Ryan McCaffrey tweet where he was talking about shutting that game down, shutting that team, pulling that team and having them work on Fallout. And I was like, how dare you?
He felt bad for saying that. Excuse me, because he took a lot of heat for it, but
because again, it's such a creative idea, such a beautiful world, and
he had the right ideas. Get somebody on Fallout. Because Bethesda's tied up for a little while.
We've talked about waiting,
and Obsidian is the right team.
6+ years for another Fallout, but we'll see.
Personally, I agree with them as far as get them on Fallout 5 before they make Outer Worlds 2. Because we just had Outer Worlds 2 in 2019, but it'll be a while before that comes out. But people are excited for Fallout for sure.
Yeah, it's beloved for very good reasons. Fallout 3 still one of my favorite games of all time. Slaps, as the kids say. So I got to have a quick shout out to the 320 people rocking with us on this glorious Saturday. If you are watching live, hit that like button, share it out. If you are new to the show, we are live every Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern time. All right, Colt, I'm going to get to some super chats, and we're going to transition into something I'm excited about. I'm really excited about. But
super it up then.
Yo, Donnie coming in saying, the Washington State boys, hit the like button. Yo, Washington State represent to area code 206. Still got 206 on my phone, son. Yo, what's good? Yodani. Oh, with another. Oh, Yodani crushed it. Not only is he as a boss mod, but showing mad support. 1 hour in, if you are listening and not participating in chat, get in here because a code for Lego Star Wars Tribes. Oh, damn. A code for Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga is getting dropped in here. Oh, snap.
Dang, Yodani.
Damn, dropping codes in the chat. All right, Colt. Oh, one more super chat actually just came in. Poochie, the legend. About Everwild. They use the word rhythm a lot in the trailers. Maybe that's what it's predicted on. Getting in rhythm with these animals to help you build things and adding combat to that could further that connection. Yeah, we saw kind of the spiritual dancing. We saw the communion with the trees and some of the CG trailers that we've seen. Yeah, if you can incorporate music in a game, I'm there. If you can give me a game that lets me do some sort of like Sea of Thieves, like when we're just dicking around with our music instruments. Oh, even though it's
Artful Escape. Artful Escape. I just held
just
X the whole game. Yeah, loved it.
It's little silly little details like that can make a huge difference in just me connecting with the game. So yeah, Poochie, that is an interesting idea. And again, that's why I'm excited. I'm excited to see something that I haven't seen. And if that means I have to wait a little bit longer, so be it. But I'm, when Everwild, when we see that gameplay for the first time, I want it to be something that I'm not expecting. Like when Sea of Thieves, as simple as it was when they showed you could shoot yourself out of a cannon. That's not something I ever was expecting in a video game ever. And they did it. And I was like, yes,
you know what?
That is so good.
My buddy Titan Drago and I, when we were playing that game during launch, he got really drunk. And then he's like, you got his character, not him. He got his character really drunk where his face was all green. He goes, I'm going to get in the cannon and shoot me out. And so he got in the cannon and his face is sticking out and it's all green. I took a screenshot and I went around to go light the cannon. And before he did, his character barfed with just his face sticking out of the cannon. We laughed so hard. And you can't get that in a game like Godfall or whatever, where you're just like, or Outriders, where you're just running around and shooting things. But yeah, this
it's one of those things where it doesn't add anything to your gear score. It doesn't add anything to your stats, but it's
memorable.
Yeah, it adds so much to the experience. And
I gotta say something before I forget, Miles. I know we're talking about like waiting on Everwild, and I know it sucks. Like basically January to, I would say probably maybe August. There won't be any like big exclusive stuff. There's been a couple, like Tunic's really amazing, but like the really, really big, there's going to be like this long wait on the Xbox. But I think after that, there won't be any waiting. Like Phil already said a couple weeks ago that they're already set up to have games every season. So every quarter you'll have a big AAA game, and they already know that's coming up. But like they had to get to this horrible spot where they had Stalker to hold us over. Like it would have been a game we'd spend like, a half a month or a month on. And it's a big, cool game. But I mean, look what happened. They're in this terrible situation in Eastern Europe. The game got delayed, and you can't say, come on, Xbox. But we can ask them to push a little harder on the Game Pass stuff that gets us something special, I suppose.
Evil Dead for Game Pass. All right. We got nothing first party in May. We got no confirmed titles.
Is that the third person one that I love?
Yeah. Third person multiplayer focused title. Drop that in Game Pass, please.
Please.
That would be such a good game. And I know it's not going to be for everyone, but again, it will be for an audience of people. The fans of
Am I going to like Weird West? Miles, well, I like Weird West.
Do you like isometric kind of narrative RPGs?
I mean, what is it most like for I know a lot of people in the audience probably haven't tried it yet because we've been busy playing other things, but what would you best compare Weird West to if they want to load it up on Game Pass?
Have you played stuff like Divinity?
Wasteland?
It's not as like RPG dense as like games like Divinity Original Sin, but it's kind of like that with some RPG light mechanics to it. So I don't know. Like that for me, I'm not huge into isometric stuff, so I didn't play a ton of it. But
okay. But it was Evil Dead, the one that with Bruce Campbell that you're looking forward to the most. That's going to be your cheesy jam.
Yeah. So that's if they do that, boom. Slap it down. Let's go. Cuz I'm going to be doing, some stuff for it. Soonish, can't say much, but yeah. Yeah, because there
little
was
content here
the
or
open
there.
beta, but it was all confidential, so I can't talk about my impressions. And I really want to talk about my impressions, but I will be able to share some stuff towards the end of this month about it. So I'm excited, and I can't wait to tell you about the reasons why I'm excited. But until then, Xbox, what are you doing? Make the call, make it happen. Hit up Saber, hit up Bruce. Let's go. You're doing all these amazing ads with like Andre Brower. Where's the Xbox Game Pass ad with Bruce Campbell? All right, Xbox marketing team, get on it. Make some moves. All right, Colt. Let's talk about some remakes that I'm excited about. So in addition to, a new Tomb Raider being announced, in addition to State of Unreal, in addition to, Halo Season 2, which we'll talk more about, it was confirmed this week that Remedy, developers of Control and Alan Wake, are partnering with Rockstar Games to release a bundle remake of Max Payne 1 and 2. So Colt, I gotta ask, are you a Max Payne fan, first off, and are you excited about going back and re-experiencing these cult classics?
Oh my gosh, I'm kind of scared to go back and play Max Payne 1. Max has some dark stuff in it for what it was at the time. One of the good things about this news is that Rockstar's not doing the remaster. Excuse me, so they're not going to just port it up from a PC version. So if
It sounds
Remedy's
like
doing
they're
it, they're
paying for it is kind of the vibe that I get. Rockstar Games is sporting the budget, and then Remedy is using their proprietary engine, Northlight, which was used for Control for the development of these.
yeah, so what you're going to get is a modern looking Max Payne 1 and 2. So, yeah, I mean, I played that game way back the day. I played it on PC, and then I got it on the original Xbox, and yeah, it does have some dark stuff toward the end.
Yeah.
But it creeps me out just thinking about it now. That should be really nice. And I haven't been like super hot on Remedy stuff lately. Like Quantum Break was pretty good. I liked it. I didn't love it. And Control, I just didn't finish it. It's just too pretentious for me. But that's my opinion.
How dare you?
Yep.
Sam Lake is a Sam Lake is a treasure in this video game industry. How dare no.
I loved Alan Wake, and I just felt like Control was just pretentious, and I did not like being lost in the Metroidvania type levels. Did not enjoy it. I'm sorry.
Alan
but
Wake
I
is
gave
still
it like
my favorite
20-30 hours. Yeah.
Remedy title by a lot. So that's why, of all their projects, I'm most excited about Alan Wake 2, to see them lean into the horror, doing the M-rated take on it, seeing them really lean into the horror elements, where the first one was like Twin Peaks, campy thriller, which I love. Twin Peaks, incredibly underrated. But I am excited to see the darker take. And as you touch on, Max Payne 1 has some darker themes to it. And I love that game. It's one I still kind of go back to every few years just to revisit, because I remember so vividly experiencing bullet time for the very first time. And that mechanic, as silly and gimmicky as it was, it just never got old. Like playing that on original Xbox, just replaying the game over and over with a buddy and trying to break the game and trying to do bullet time out of windows and off railing and all the fun mechanics that you could do with that. And since then, Remedy has always leaned heavily into physics and time and all these amazing mechanics. So I'm excited for them to kind of take all of their expertise that they've learned over the years and reapply it to the game that sort of started it all. And I'm really grateful they're bundling them together in one package. So it's not going to be like
what's the disconnect with Max Payne 3, which I know everybody loves 1 and 2, but I feel like the world wants Max Payne 3 on a modern console. Like even if it was just I think it went back and pat, right?
Yeah,
it's back and pat, but it's still 30. It's like, why are you guys updating this or FPS boosting it or something? Because the game looks phenomenal. When it came out on the 360, when you're in the favela in Brazil, I think it's Brazil, it looked, I'd never seen a highly detailed environment like that before. It looked like you were really there. So I don't know why they're doing 1 and 2, and then maybe they're going to wait on 3, but why not just do the whole thing?
Do the whole
Remedy
trilogy.
didn't do.
Yeah,
Remedy didn't do 3. It was Rockstar and I don't remember.
Yeah, maybe they're doing that to tie into a remaster, because really you don't have to remake Max Payne 3. Max Payne 3 still looks pretty fantastic, plays fantastically. So if they just went back and increased the textures, increased the resolution, and gave us 60 FPS, Max Payne 3 would still hit. That game was
Yeah, I
incredible.
have it on. I played it on PC last year. I bought it for like $12, and I just ramped the settings up just quickly, and it looks perfect. Like, yeah. So yeah, you're right. You don't need to remaster it. You just need to get it on consoles that way.
Yeah, but by comparison, Max Payne, the OG Max Payne 1 and 2, not as timeless in terms of gameplay. That's for sure.
It's halfway between Steve from Minecraft and Alan Wake as far as the character model. Yeah, I remember him being very stilted, and the way you dive and just land flat on your face, the slow motion was really amazing. I don't know when that came out, Miles, but I think I played it in like I can't remember, like 02, 03
Oh,
on a
original Max
PC.
Payne? I want to say, yeah, it was 2001 or 2, maybe. Sounds about
Yeah.
right. Now the real question is, are they going to give us Sam Lake's face again for Max Payne, or are they going to use like the Max Payne 3 model? That was the inside joke for the longest time, is that was Sam Lake. That was his face plastered on
The
that square. Oops.
the like scrunchy face thing, that was him that they put
Mhm.
on the texture. That's right, it was. And then when they did 3, they used the voice actor's face,
Mhm.
and he looks so much different.
Yeah, exactly. He
Oh,
looked
interesting.
yeah,
That's
so
right.
fun Easter egg. I'm wondering how they handle that, if they will. And I would love if they did what some games do, like Resident Evil 2 and 3 did this, where you can play the game in like the low polygon models as like a throwback. So in the new engine, but with the original art style, because that stuff like that's just fun. A fun little nod.
I'm just looking at that. Yeah, he's such a cool looking guy.
He's
You know,
he's an awesome. I
but
love Sam.
he's aged, 20 some years since then, but that's so cool. I like it. I like it. I'm excited for that then. I'm just afraid. I just don't like that last level when he gets on. No spoilers, but when I don't want any spoilers, but there's a part where he kind of freaks out, and I hated that part.
Little
It
nightmare
was,
sequence.
yeah, it was rough for me,
Yeah, it gets a
for my
little
little wimpy self.
it gets a little dark. It gets a little dark at the end.
Yeah.
All right, Colt, we got to talk about Halo. The saga of Halo Infinite has been fascinating. It's been a roller coaster of emotions in so many ways. Because there's obviously Halo is a huge brand. People are passionate about Halo. People love Halo. I love Halo. You love Halo. People have all their expectations for what Halo should be, what Halo needs to be. So
like,
there was
get the helmet off, walk around nude in the next scene. Like, Halo's just really come a long way, hasn't it?
exactly. It's only going to be 1 or 2 more episodes until we see Master Chief
Cheeks.
just getting it. Master Chief just getting after it. Mark my words. Episode 5, Master Chief be getting down and dirty. You just went.
Oh my gosh! Somebody actually tweeted that joke today. It's like, helmet off first episode, third episode, no pants. Fourth episode, he
Stay tuned. Stay
tuned.
tuned.
Stay tuned.
But yeah, so there was a lot of energy and excitement. Halo Infinite was announced. People were like, yes, a new Halo. They're doing some open world stuff. Let's go. I'm ready to see a new generation of Halo. The gameplay was revealed for the first time. People were like, oh my God, these graphics, Craig. It was a meme. It was delayed by a year. A lot of people were mad about that. And then, we had the announcement that features weren't coming at launch, and then people were like, oh my God, this game's going to be a mess. What is happening? 343 is terrible, blah, blah, blah. Then the game came out, and everybody's like, oh my God, this is the best Halo ever. Game of the year. I love it so much. And then like 2 months later, everyone's like, oh my God, this game has no content. 343 Industries is trash. What are they doing? They don't know how to make a game. And it's been interesting to watch. It's been a fascinating journey to see Halo Infinite. I think
what a great launch, though. Like, as you said, like the first month of the open beta was fire. People were even through the flighting, the experts and the media and the influencers were going crazy and saying Halo's back. The first month where everybody jumped in, they were breaking record numbers. People were loving it. They were iffy about the microtransactions and the cosmetics, but they said they're working on it. 343 started pivoting right away, and the campaign had, campaign went out great. And you're right. It's just weird. By January, February, all of a sudden everyone went from I love this to I am appalled, sir.
And again, I think we all wanted
And
to
for
make
good
sure
reason.
that, when the game got the time it needed. So when it launched in a great state. And I think they achieved that. What they had at launch was solid. And then people were like, okay, this is a seasonal thing. They've expanded season 1 by 6 months. Okay, whatever. They're trying to figure out the loop. But I think it's safe to say a lot of us had higher expectations for what the seasons would mean in terms of content for Halo, because season 1 being 6 months, we didn't get any new maps. We got some modes, we got some events, but we didn't really get a ton of content. I think that is why a lot of the community has now turned against 343, if you will, and has been very vocal about their criticisms, complaints of the progression system, of the monetization,
It's been 4 months, right?
of the content. It's going to be 6 months here really soon. It's going to be.
It's been 4 months, right? Like I think
if we're including the early multiplayer launch, it's going to be coming
it's
up
been
on
5 months. Yeah, it's been 5 months then. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to be coming up on 6 months, and
I think one of the problems, Miles, is 343 really. I'm assuming they felt like what they had at launch was good enough. And they might have been right, but 343 is the biggest studio, one of the biggest studios in the gaming industry. It's up there, and it's the biggest one for Xbox. And good enough, or I think we got it, is the wrong attitude. 343 should be shooting for above and beyond in all aspects. And I was really a proponent for them to delay the game until Forge and co-op were there. And I really felt like if Halo landed its best way possible, even if it landed late, and I think Halo 3 had a significant delay as well because it didn't launch with the 360, but even if it had a significant delay, have it come in where you could play through the campaign, turn around and play it with one buddy, play it with another buddy, drop in and drop out of your friends' campaign games, enjoy that. Get Forge. Forge is going to help bolster the content and maps and creations. Forge is so... I don't use Forge, but for those people who play so much multiplayer, Forge is absolutely critical to bolstering the content that 343 can't create to keep up with this absolutely starving fan base that is going to be playing. These people were not playing Halo at their leisure. People play. The friends that I was talking to, they were on for hours every day. And if you don't provide that level of content, you're not doing the job right.
Yeah.
Hargeet Johnny in the chat. Shout out to Hargeet Johnny, he's so awesome. He's been a member of Miles' show for 9 months. Check him out in the chat. He just put another code for Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, which if you're a Borderlands fan, and if you're a Borderlands fan, play the game. It's one of their best. It's like Skyrim and Avowed and and Borderlands and
what other buzzwords can we throw out there? Yeah, Harjeet Legend dropped a Tiny Tina code in the last show as well. So just making it rain, Tiny Tina out there. Really appreciate that. Lock that up. It looks like Donnie had dropped a code for Star Wars, which was claimed. So y'all are awesome out here showing support. And
what was the other one he did? It was he said it was something
Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga?
He said for the blessed one. I don't know what he meant when he said that, but I don't know if that was a Lego Star Wars code.
For the blessed one. Yeah, it's the situation with Halo has gotten bad. I mean, with any big property, we see it with Star Wars, we see it with any big fandom. There's going to be people who complain and are never happy at the end of the day. Sure. But like you're touching on, there are a lot of people now who in hindsight are like, maybe Halo should have been delayed. I remember getting a lot of heat. People were very mad because I was very vocally upset that they were not going to ship the game with co-op. And people were telling me, oh, it's just 3 months, dude. Get over it, blah, blah, blah. And now we're at a point where it's 6 months
like
later.
10 months or something?
And it's not there yet. And I'm like, again, I
9 months.
Like you touched on, I think diversity of the slate of content is really where Halo Infinite is lacking. And if they had Forge, if they had co-op, there would be more avenues for people to play. But when everyone's burned through the campaign, it's a single player campaign. It is on the shorter side. Everyone's burned through that. So now they are focusing on the multiplayer. and they are wanting more and more content. They're wanting more and more maps because, like you said, the Halo community is passionate. They're ravenous. Even if they were consistent with content, you could probably not give them enough content to keep them satisfied.
Sure.
And
Yeah, well said.
And they are going 6 months without any notable content, I would say. The events are fine. It's something.
I gotta say, like, I don't play a lot of the Halo multiplayer as much anymore, so I'm not like trying to fight on one side or the other, but I do understand how the community reacts. And we know that the Halo community is super passionate. They're very fiery as well. But they've grown up on this franchise and they want the best from it. And it's something that they need to fix, but I also understand when I watch the Lone Wolf trailer, of course they get you excited. It's like it's a hype machine, right?
Yeah, they get you feeling it. You're ready for that content, dog.
But I really do kind of understand that season 2 will arrive. Season 2 will arrive and the game will get better. And as these games kind of build upon, I can see that. Like, I'm not crazy that Halo is going to just keep getting better and better.
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted it to be that at launch. I think I know that franchise deserves to come out at its very best, and it's what millions and millions and millions of fans deserve. It's not that they're entitled to it. Like, they've been with this series, they've helped build it to what it is. They deserve for it to come out at its very best and top form. But I can see out there just far enough to know that it'll take a year, but Halo Infinite will blossom into something that it was supposed to be a year ago. That's how I feel.
Yeah, because let's talk a little bit about what's kind of promised for season 2. So originally they were going to come out in January and give players a roadmap, and they didn't. And then I don't think we got one in February either. And a lot of people were like, "What is going on?" Like, we're upset about the lack of content, and now you can't even be consistent about when you communicate, when stuff's coming. So there's been a lot of vocal negativity surrounding how they're communicating with their audience as well. But season 2, there was a blog post talking about what players can expect, and they're saying that new maps, new modes, customization options, weeks to weekly rewards, which make them better, and the ability to earn 1,000 credits through the Battle Pass are coming. So what are you hoping to see in terms of cadence for, let's say, new maps and new modes? We're in the world where seasons are now going to be 3 months instead of 6. Should they be dropping one noteworthy thing a month? Or what's a realistic cadence for keeping people engaged with this game?
I think that might be better if you're only going to do two maps or something every 3 months. It would be better to give you a map here and say we're working on the next map that's come out in a month and a half or whatever. Because like Sebastian Cooper in the chat said, like, you know, it's Halo. You play it and then you move on. There's lots of other games to play, but we have to understand, because not a lot of us are the same type of Halo fan. These Halo fans play the game all the time. I talked to a guy on Xbox Live who said, I was like, "Hey, you want to play this game with me or this game?" He's like, "I only play Halo. I don't even buy other games. That's all I play. It's every night I get on and my friends and I play through modes and we do this, we do that, and we play our games." Like, that's all he plays. And that's all he wants. And there are Halo fans out there who expect to play this game and be satiated all year long like a Call of Duty fan is until the next one comes out. And 343 can't afford to be light on content on a massive game with a structured framework that they've done over the Master Chief Collection and all the games that it was built from. And Halo 5 had a great multiplayer suite. They need to live up to that expectation. We saw the graph where Halo Infinite was one of the lowest offered multiplayer suites since Halo Combat Evolved. So it's just not acceptable. They're under a lot of pressure. The teams at 343 are really amazing. They're doing everything they can, but Joseph Staten is like a saving grace. He knows the fans and he's trying to get them what they want. That's how I feel it's going.
It's a tough balancing act. And again, it's easy for us to sit on the outside and say, you need to do this, you need to do this. And a lot of it gets kind of ugly and a lot of it gets mean-spirited. But the important thing is here is that people are listening. People from 343 are listening to feedback. And if you're willing to, you know, take a beat, take a breath, and articulate why you're upset or why you're disappointed, they're going to take that to heart. And, you know, as long as you can do it in a way that's respectful, they are going to listen to you and they are going to evolve the game, because they want people to play the game. They want people to be happy. At the end of the day, that is the most important thing to them. And when a lot of people are unhappy, it's got to be a huge buzzkill to morale of the game. And
Mhm.
I knew that the content was going to be light at launch. I had heard what to expect in terms of maps and multiplayer content, and I knew it was going to be light. And I was like, okay, as long as what is there at launch is polished and tight, a light launch is okay. And they did that. What was there was polished and tight, but I was expecting a new map every month, every 2 months, and then the seasonal rollout would be the big headlining event, the new mode. And so that's kind of what I'm expecting for seasons moving forward. If a season is 3 months, I'm hoping we get at the very least 2 maps and a mode ish per season. And if you can do that, I think a lot of people will be very happy and a lot of people will have stuff to look forward to. But when you put out a free to play games as a service title and you don't add anything substantial for 6 months, you can't be shocked when people move on to something else. Like you said,
Where's
there are people who want to play this consistently and just are so tired of what's there.
Like, where's Firefight? Where's Warzone Firefight? Like, these were things that I would consistently go back and play because I could play them with friends, or I could just sit alone and play with other people online and run through and kill enemies together and just rack up that combat that you just get right into it, without the competitive thing other than trying to get the most kills. Like, these are foundational things that are a core part of the game. I would assume that they have this roadmap that we don't get to see yet, where they're like,
Yeah.
we'll bring Warzone Firefight later. It's like, I don't want them to extend the life of it by drip feeding. Like, I don't know, just start building that stuff in as soon as possible. That's why I'm kind of trying to say 343 is not at the luxury right now where a good enough. They have to be going above and beyond, and it's not as easy. Like me, I can't just say that, right? It's horrible for me to say that because I don't know how long it takes them to build those things, but I'm sure the crummy thing is all we can assume is 343 is so buckled down and like pinned down for time that they can barely get out what they have now. So things must be really rough. They've got contractors up the wazoo working with them. They're hiring and bringing people in, and it's still taking a long time to get content. So it must be highly complicated. I don't know.
Yeah,
Compare that to Call of Duty's teams. Like, they bring in 4 studios, and Activision has had access to hundreds and hundreds of employees. Maybe their studios are much bigger than 343, and they're delivering like all this content, and people still complain about Call of Duty. So I don't
it's
know.
it's tough because we're at this point where a lot of people are just as the community managers are, like Sketch, are coming out and saying people are just tired of hearing their words because they've
Yeah.
said a lot of things that haven't come to fruition, and at this point people are like, you need to demonstrate what this means for me as a Halo fan, as a Halo player. And so in a lot of ways there are reasons to be upset or disappointed, absolutely. And so that's where it gets complicated because a lot of the legit reasons to be upset are now becoming, I guess I'll just say they're becoming toxic. Colt, people are being toxic, and once it transitions into that, then that gives people a mean to downplay all criticism because some people are being toxic and mean and rude. That means that people are just being negative towards the game for the sake of being negative, and that
And the developers.
and that drowns out the
yeah.
legit criticism, and that drowns out any form of constructive conversation we're going to have about this game and how it can be tweaked. And it's just a little disappointing. So I'm happy to see that we finally have some details on what's coming with season 2, what that could potentially mean for the future of the game. And now we'll just have to wait and see if 343 can deliver on the goods. And season 2, people are going to be critical of season 2. A lot of us were willing to say, okay, season 1, they're figuring it out. This is their first foray into games as a service. This is their first foray into free to play. They're figuring out the cadence of stuff, blah, blah, blah. But after 6 months, season 2 is not going to get that flexibility from a lot of people, I think. And if they don't come out of the gate hard with season 2, it's going to get scary, Cole. It's going to get scary on them Twitter streets. You feel me?
on the Twitter.coms.
On,
Yeah, I really do try to ride on both sides and kind of to listen, because I feel bad. I see the frustration from the community managers and the senior director tweeting like he's really getting. It's got to be tough.
it's
And
exactly.
then
It's
I
got to be
see the
tough.
fans' frustration as well. And I say it from like I'm trying to get that message across. Like, I'm not one of the whining multiplayer. Like, I played it for a month and a half. Plus, we played the flighting like crazy, right? I played it for a while. I got my fill and I moved on. But I know the fans are frustrated and they expect more. And I say they do deserve more as long as they're respectful. These people, like we talked about at the very beginning of the show, Miles. When we started the show, we talked about the magic of what makes games. And that magic is the people and their talent. And if those people don't get the time they need and they just get harassed and threatened, oh, I would hate to work there for what they're going through.
Yeah, so
Try to see
it's
it from both
tough.
sides.
Yeah, so that's again, I'm all for constructive criticism. And if you have complaints, share them, because we are in the golden age of communities and being able to directly communicate with the people making the games. For better or worse, we have direct lines of access to them at all times, 24/7. So that's why you have people on the Halo community posting pictures of them, on off for the weekend with their families, and people are like, "Fix Halo," and I'm like, "Jesus, dude, not the time, not the time." Okay,
They
and
really do. Oh my gosh.
so I feel for them there. And at the end of the day, like, these people, like we've touched on, are there just to make a game to entertain us. They want to make a game that is going to make people happy and have a good time. And clearly people are unhappy with the way it's playing out. But yeah, also, there's thankfully been a lot to play, which has made it easier for me just to be like, all right, I'm just going to drop Halo until they have stuff to play. Because I would like to keep playing Halo. I'm just at the point where there's not a huge incentive for me. Like, they haven't done a good enough job in the sea of all the games that are out now, pulling me back into Halo. And that's something they're going to have to work on if they want to make sure that this is this massive, continuous, ongoing game. And like you said, I think in a year, once Forge is out, once co-op is out, a lot of those complaints will dwindle, and we'll see this huge surge of Forge content, which, like Fortnite, is going to carry the game. There's going to be so much community-driven content that's going to elevate and give stuff to do. So if you're bored of the main modes, but you want to keep playing Halo, dive into Forge. Dive into the hundreds of custom game modes, the hundreds of maps, and there's just an endless amount of content. And for the die-hard fans, that's going to alleviate a lot of those content concerns.
Can you do me a favor, Miles? I don't know if you probably don't like doing this on the show, but will you put a poll up for me?
You want a poll? Oh my! All right, let's see.
Yeah.
Let me do.
Can you put up
here.
a poll and ask, does Halo Infinite need a battle royale? I'd love to hear what the chat says.
And for the
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's see. Does
Let's
Halo Infinite need Halo? And I'll do need in all caps. Need a battle royale. All right. So the shout out to the 350 folks rocking with us. If you're digging the show, hit that like button and be sure to let us know if Halo Infinite needs a battle royale? Question mark. I'm curious to see. I've seen some passionate takes regarding this whole situation here.
My funny thing about the need or having a battle royale is, well, the only negative is, of course, it takes away from other content if they have to build that in. But if it's there, you don't have to play it. So I'm going to vote. Oh wow, this is coming in 36 votes already, and it's very divisive.
Ooh, so I'm
very spicy.
While people are voting, let's talk about a mode. Actually, I'm gonna get to one super chat that's we can jump off real quick, and then I want to talk about a mode that's leaked that isn't quite a battle royale, but maybe we'll scratch that itch for some Halo fans. But first, Chris R says Xbox is still learning how to do service games. Xbox will hopefully get there. Sea of Thieves is great now, but it definitely didn't start there. All right, cool. Do you want to comment? Because I got some thoughts on that, and I've been very vocal about that.
No, I agree 100%. I mean, I don't really think Sea of Thieves is really quite there for me as far as the game. But like I said earlier in the show, that they have like 10 or 12 million people who play the game or who have played it. So it's a very successful game in its own right.
25 million, actually, Colt. 25 million.
Oh my gosh. Are you serious? 25 million?
25 million players.
They announced they had what did they announce? They had like 10 million pirate legends or something.
Oh
Is that the
yeah,
number
it might be
or
something
a
like
million?
that.
I can't
Yeah, it
remember,
might.
but I
Yeah,
don't care.
they had
Soccer would know. Soccer worships
some
the
sort
game,
of,
but
yeah. It's Sea of Thieves. I'll say
you and
it
I have
once,
played
and I've said it
together.
again. It is Xbox's most important IP of the last decade. But that being said, your comment
Your
about
only one.
Xbox, new to the game. So they fumbled with Sea of Thieves. They learned a lot of hard lessons from Sea of Thieves. Rare did. What baffles me is that did 343 Industries completely ignore what the Coalition learned with Gears 5 and what Rare
Oh
learned with Sea of
yeah.
Thieves? Like, this is not Xbox's first fumble with games as a service titles. They have prime examples within their own studios. 343 could have went over to Rare and said, all right, what are the things you learned? And I'm sure there was some of that, but the fact that 343 missed the mark so hard with this when there are other clear examples of teams doing it within Xbox, that's where I'm confused. That's where I'm less willing to just be like, okay, well, they're learning. They have learned, or I wanted to think they had learned, but this shows me that they're not doing a great job, taking the lessons across all of their teams. And correct me if I'm
Right.
wrong, maybe that's a dramatic take, but I think they have proven to me that 343 wasn't looking at the other examples within Xbox Game Studios.
No, I don't think they were either. And like there should be some cohesion with the franchise, and for them to their fans really wanted a certain setup with the what do they call it? The coatings, with the armor coatings and the customization. That was a big problem. So I think they tried to do their own. They tried to like launch Halo Infinite totally different, and a lot of that stuff didn't hit right. So they should have been looking at what Gears got a lot of flack for, really expensive microtransactions.
Yep.
And that hindered the game pretty hard. So I don't know. It's not a vacuum. You have total access to hear every critique from other platforms and in your own platform. They should be very aware of that.
Yeah, it's not like Halo Infinite is the first free-to-play shooter that's come out. This is the problem I have. But again, that's just my complaint. My complaint here. All right, cool. Let's talk about, as people are voting on whether or not Halo Infinite needs a battle royale, it has come to a lot of people's attention, and there's been some leaked graphics and text claiming that Last Spartan Standing will be a mode coming to Halo Infinite. And it doesn't sound like this is a massive 100-player battle royale by any means, but it does seem like...
Not confirmed either?
Yeah, not confirmed, but
okay. Last Spartan Standing. Okay, keep talking. I'm listening.
Spartan Standing. So it sounds like in some capacity, Halo will be dabbling with a free-for-all last person standing, small scale battle royale. Let's just call it that. So does that do anything?
King of the Hill, like a King of the Hill type thing?
Yeah. So we don't have a ton of details. We have like the brief description of the game mode, and that basically just says, yeah, fight to be the last Spartan standing, basically. So I don't know how many players it's going to be. I don't know if it's coming in season 2, but there's been some data mined info and a graphic that says, yeah, this is probably coming to the game. So would that scratch the itch? Let's say this mode is 24 players. 24 players on big team-ish battles maps. Last Spartan Standing. Is that...
I would actually prefer that over 100, actually. One of the things that keeps me from playing Battle Royale a lot is the 100 number, where, if you make a mistake early, you have to start all over. If you waited all the way out through 100 people, the long trek to the end and you get 5th place, it's like, ah, dang it. That could be really cool. Why do they have to do Spartans, though? That's something I've talked about at someone else's show. Why can't you drop into a 24-player match and you can be an elite or a brute or an ODST or a Spartan? Like, why does it have to be just Spartans in different colors? I feel like they're just losing a massive opportunity to have these modes where you could just really get, like the way Gears does it, where you can play as a Locust or you can play as a Cogs. I would love to play as an elite Covenant soldier or a brute, and those animations are already there. They're fully controllable. Let us drop into a 24-player big team battle map and fight it out to see who's in the end. And at the end, your guy comes over and you picked a brute and he slams his banner down, and you were like the number one, last one standing. Why does it have to be purple Spartan, green Spartan, orange Spartan, rainbow Spartan, the plaid Spartan? Like, come on, let us play as other characters. Like, Halo has the coolest enemies that are like bipedal, that hold guns. What are you doing? Am I crazy?
No, I want to see that too. I want to, again, a lot of people, there's a lot of hardcore Halo fans who
shout out to Plaid Spartan, by the way.
Yeah, who want Halo to adhere to certain lore principles for multiplayer and have certain lore rules for why multiplayer matches exist. And they've done that with like the training grounds, and they're trying to like tie the multiplayer into the campaign in some capacity. But like you said, give me some weird modes. Yeah, if they do a battle royale and it's just a bunch of like elites and Spartans and brutes all out in the battlefield, I don't care how that ties into the lore. That just sounds cool. That just sounds like a good time.
What if you could be a grunt and you were a smaller target? Like, you could be a grunt, but the grunts don't move as fast because they don't cover as much ground. So
yeah, let's get weird with it, Cole.
You see like a grunt running around that says Water Egg 37 over his head. Like, oh my gosh. 343, just build it. Get it out here in a couple weeks. Let's see.
Build it and they will come. All right, Colt, I got to ask you something else. And I'll ask everyone listening, because I've heard a lot of different takes on this. Am I alone in thinking that Warzone was actually pretty rad in Halo 5? Like, I remember that being my favorite multiplayer mode in it. I loved the dynamic of the NPCs and PvP. I loved that it leaned heavily into the vehicles. Sure, the weird progression system and random draws was kind of annoying, but the fundamentals of the huge, massive scale battles with PvP and PvE elements incorporated made it feel like a Halo Warzone, if you will. Like, it felt like a legit battlefield, and I loved that. Yes. And I was so bummed that Halo Infinite has zero answers.
It was actually one of their most famous modes on Halo 5 was Warzone. And then when Warzone Firefight came in, where it was 4 Spartans attacking all of the Covenant or Promethean enemies, which is fantastic, with mini bosses. That's what I'm saying. Maybe some of the staleness that people are experiencing is the colored different armored Spartans running back and forth, and that's all you see. Now, for those of you who don't know what Warzone is, I'm pretty sure you do. Miles is talking about, you've got a big map, you drop in, and it's like 8v8.
I think it was 12v12 plus the
12v12. So you've got Spartans versus Spartans, but in the middle of the battlefield is all the Covenant enemies, and then the Covenant and military vehicles and weapons. So you drop in and you are shooting an elite or a grunt or whatever, or the little robot dogs, but you also have to keep an eye out for the opposite team that are Spartans that are shooting at you. And like, does not exist in Halo Infinite. It's just Spartan versus Spartan, all the colored armor just against each other. And to me, it does get old. It's missing all these great characters and weapons and interaction that they've introduced in the campaign, and I'm sure it's in the roadmap.
Exactly. It's one of those things where a lot of that stuff will probably come at some point, but again, a lot of people, nobody likes to wait. Nobody wants to wait for anything. Everybody wants everything now, and that's just human nature. You can get mad at people for being impatient, but that's just the way we've been trained.
Can I be slightly toxic? I'll do this respectfully. Okay. No, not really toxic, but when we think about Forge mode, you get somebody who sits down in Forge modes and Forge mode and drops in. They set a parameter. It's 8v8. They set down some elites and a couple brutes, and they set down these different things, and they spend like an hour or two, and they make this multiplayer map, and then their friends play it. It's like, why isn't 343 doing that? Is it because Forge isn't done and they can't build? Like, it seems like they could just build a mode. Like, they could just build Warzone. Just start dropping in the parameters, set the programming, put the characters in, set the rules, and make the mode and release it. But I don't understand what the disconnect is, Miles. Am I being a jerk?
I don't know. I haven't used the engine hands-on. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what it entails. Again, it is easier for us. It's easier for us to sit on the outside and you should do this. But the logistics of doing that are probably really involved and really complicated. But again, as we're Halo fans and we have wants that we want to see, like, it's not invalid to want those things and to question those things. But
yeah, I'm more so saying you can't, do this. Like, can you do this? Like, I know they have the capability, like, and I don't know how long that takes, but the Spartan versus Spartan thing is probably getting played out this past 4 or 5 months, and you need to do something different.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what season 2 brings. But I'm still hurting about co-op. I'm not gonna lie.
Hmm.
I'm still a little sad, little very disappointed. But
I want to put that thing at Legendary and play it co-op with like Dealer. We've been talking about it for a long time. That's our plan, is to play that at full difficulty and take on those, assassination targets at the highest difficulty and just make it happen.
4 of the homies together grapple shotting. Come on,
Oh yeah.
it's a piece of my life I'm just missing right now, and I'm hoping.
Do you
it
think
comes.
you'll be able to grapple to your co-op partner? Like if they're ahead of you, do you think you can accidentally grapple and slam into them, or do you think the grapple will bounce off of your character by design,
I would
off of
hope
your
so.
co-op?
Because let's say your buddy's flying by on a banshee or something. What I would love to see is you being able to just grapple onto that banshee, and you're
Yeah.
just connected to the side of your buddy's banshee while he's flying. Or I don't think they'll do it. They don't have systems in the game like that right now. But imagine stuff like that. Your buddy's driving by in a warthog. All these amazing sandbox mechanics that would be enriched by co-op. That's why a lot of us are excited and impatient, because we know how it's going to play out. We know what it could look like, and we just want to. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to get to some super chats. Shout out to all the amazing people who've been hanging. I saw Snowbike Mike in here. I see Fun Speculation. Yo, Donnie, Poochie, Mr. Joanna Dark, a lot of regulars and legends in the Xbox community here, rocking with us on this Saturday. Don Otaku says, Forge will bring more players than a Battle Royale. A Battle Royale definitely would help, but it's not a necessity. All right, let's go to the poll.
Okay.
Let's see what the fans say, Colt. Does Halo need a Battle Royale? Coming in at 55%. This was actually pretty split. 55% of people say that yes, Halo Infinite does in fact need a Battle Royale.
I think the need word might be why, someone would say no. A lot of people probably said no, that it doesn't need it. But it should have been. Like,
would it be sick if there was one? Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Michael Patton says, when fans go from critiquing games like Halo to who should be fired or develop it, I think they cross the line of when you're questioning someone's entire career and livelihood and calling for resignations and calling for people to be terminated, probably a little extreme, probably a little dramatic when we're talking about video games at the end of the day. It's not the decisions these teams make aren't life or death for anyone. They don't really negatively impact anyone's life in a fundamental way for the most part. So, yeah, that's maybe a little extreme.
Or so we hope, but yeah, you never know. People do get super passionate. Like I said, like the Halo fans are really super passionate, and it's a big part of their lives. So, in a way, they do deserve the best that 343 can bring. But Hargeet has a really good pointed super. I think you're almost to.
Yes, Harjeet Chani says it's been 4 months since Halo came out. I think they also took off a month during the holidays. 3 months, and we're going to war against 343, especially in this COVID era with all these delays. Overreacting? ? Yeah, I mean, again, it shouldn't be us going to war. I don't think.
Yes.
If you consider yourself going to war against 343 Industries, that's probably too extreme. You're probably have some bad intent. But also, I'm not going to criticize people who are disappointed or upset with the rollout, because it hasn't been stellar. And I think 343 would admit that. If you talk to a lot of the lead people at 343, I mean, they've said things in interviews and blog posts, so it's not unfounded for people to be upset, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's just how you react. Like, obviously, I would never lash out at these developers. I try to. It's somebody in the chat said, Arvin said criticism can exist without toxicity. It just seems like people don't know how to properly convey their frustration because they're hiding behind an avatar or a nickname they use online. And so, like, if the creative director says, "Oh, we have to take my dog to the vet. He hasn't been feeling well, and we've been a family friend of 10 years," so I was like, "Hello,"
Yeah,
That's normal behavior in this community, unfortunately.
it's unfortunate. And yeah, Harji touched on COVID and the delays and the reality. And
And
I
they
guess
did.
my
They worked on the game for like 6 years nonstop, and then they took a month off for Christmas break because they launched the game the first week of December. And they said, when we get back to it, we're getting right to it. And they've been trying, but it's been an uphill battle, and they've been far behind for a long time.
yeah, nobody should fault them for taking time off. I saw some negative takes around that. Like, come on, just let people have a vacation for the love of God. Again, it's a video game. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
these are human beings who are making a video game. They're making entertainment for us, and it's not a high stakes situation. So you can be upset, you can have criticism. That is fine. That is healthy, but treat them like people for the love of God. Like,
I use my refrigerator in our kitchen every single day, and it's so important in my life. But I would never go to the people at Maytag and say, why in the world can't you get... That's so funny. But video gaming means a lot to us in this community, though. I mean, we really are passionate. Just let me point that passion in the right direction.
The passion can be a beautiful thing, and it can be a terrifying, ugly thing as well. Because love makes you do crazy things, Colt. In the infamous words of Will Smith, love makes you do some crazy things.
Oh my
gosh. That's the and I guess when you're directing criticism of something or someone online, and especially when it comes to video games, just imagine how you would talk to that person in real life. When you're on Twitter and you have your anime avatar and you're going to go after someone, pause, take a beat, and say, if I was sitting at a table addressing my concerns to this person, addressing my frustrations to this person, how would I word it? Would I say that I want to kill this person? Probably not. That's probably not how you would.
I mean,
talk
I tell
to
people, show that tweet response to like your
screen
wife
it
or your husband
show
or
it to
your mom or
a
loved one, like a loved one in your family, like, because I do not feel sorry for me. I've been, because I deserve half time, but I'm victim of being called terrible things over my opinion or my video game takes or my preference for the Xbox, right? And sometimes I just tell people, like, show your mom or your girlfriend or your husband or whoever, show them that tweet, like, please. And I'm sure they never would. People who treat others like that over video games probably keep their phone very close and hidden away from other people, because we do need to treat developers with respect. You don't want to bite the hands that feed them. 343 has a lot to improve. I don't know.
Yeah,
why preach? People have to figure it out.
It's just, for me, a little tiring because we try to eliminate any form of human element to making a game and developing it and being online. And again, not woe is me, but when you're in the space, like content creator, whoa, hard knock life. But you do have people who are aggressive about what you do and the things you do and the things you say and how you react. And as much as we can brush off a lot of it, and we can look at a lot of it as just this is just a bad faith troll, it's impossible to ignore all of it. It's impossible to ignore all of the personal criticism. And at a certain point, you're like, is there something fundamentally wrong with me? Am I the problem here? And so, just be careful how you critique things, because I can guarantee you, I can promise you that you will gain more traction, and you will gain more, understanding if you show just a shred of human empathy, just a shred. That's all I'm asking. You don't have to go out and cure world hunger. You don't have to go work at a soup kitchen. Just a shred. That's all. That's all I'm asking here.
Just be nice. How about that?
Yeah, just be nice. In the famous words of Colteastwood, be nice. All right, one more super chat here from Matt Tischbone. Colt and Miles team up. Guys, what are your banger recommendations from the spring sale? You got any banger recommendations for the Xbox spring sale that's happening right now?
I buy every game I want, so I'm not quite sure that was there. Here, you start. Let me go look real quick. And
I haven't looked. If I'm being, I have like 5,
Just
6,
give me a second.
7 games I'm playing right now, so I haven't looked.
I know.
Anyone
I'm gonna see if
watching
anything.
live, drop your recommendations for the
I'm gonna see
must-haves
if
that are
anything.
in this spring
Yeah, I'll see if
sale.
anything pops out. It's kind of pricey, but I'll say something that somebody probably hasn't tried out, but it's $25. Hot Wheels Unleashed is like a mini
Oh,
version of the
yes. Yes.
Forza Hot Wheels DLC, but you actually drive a plastic Hot Wheels car, so there's no character in it, and it has like a lot of boosts and a lot of twists and turns, even more than Hot Wheels on Forza. So that's a $25 game I bought for 40 or $50 last year. It's really fun. Let me find one more like hidden gem.
I will second the Hot Wheels. The Hot Wheels game is a legitimately great racer. Not only is it super fun, but the attention to detail for the tracks and all of the cars. There are some deep cuts. If you ever played Hot Wheels growing up, there are some really amazing deep cuts for cars in there that are, nice and nostalgic.
And it has
treat.
a track creator.
And
a track creator as well. Yeah.
You can customize your man cave. So you have this like basement downstairs where you can put up arcade cabinets. You can change the tile in your downstairs kitchen. Like there is this super in-depth man basement like creator, and it's so good.
Okay, I've got one more. I'll stop halfway through. There's actually a lot. There looks like there's let me see how many there are. If I look at the bottom, it'll usually say how many you have. It doesn't say. I've got one more. Yeah, Hot Wheels Unleashed is good. This is kind of a divisive one, but Biomutant is $33. I paid $60 for it when people told me not to play it. I really just really liked it. I enjoyed it. It was actually kind of laid back, cool, and you have like a automatic rifle and a melee weapon, and then you have like a power you can shoot out like in Tiny Tina's or like Skyrim. It was really good. It was really underrated.
Yeah, I know that one was very divisive.
I don't know if you played it.
I know my good pal Jez Corden said it was the worst $60 game he's ever played. Very infamous.
And in turn, Rand calls it poopy. He goes, "It's dog poopy." I'm like, "You didn't even play." He goes, "Oh, I know it's bad." I'm like, I would like to hear from the chat because.
And then Ains, friend of the show, is famously very big on it. I know
he gave it like
people,
a 9.
People are really big on it. So I haven't played it myself. I've heard mixed things, but
my only complaint is sometimes you can get on a mount or walk. Sometimes you're walking for a while, but you can unlock the fast travel points. So there was times when I felt like I was taking long walks to get to places, but it just had so much stuff to do, and the story wasn't like amazing or memorable, but everything else was really good. Like just the way the game looked and felt, and the narrator was just really great. I don't know. I just really liked it. But whatever. $33.
Yeah, if you're watching the live show too, we've had footage of Godfall Ultimate Edition on Series X playing here. I know that one's on sale. I think it's $30 right now. I'm gonna be doing like a deeper dive. My plan is to spend about, I'm hoping to get 12 to 15 hours with it over the course of this weekend, and then early next week get out my thoughts on, does this game really fail to deliver a compelling looter? Where does it hit? Because early impressions for me, I'm having fun. Like it's mindless. It is a hack and slash game in a lot of ways, but if you want a Devil May Cry-ish looter game that you can play with some buddies, I've been playing with some friends and I've been having fun. Like we're just low key. It's an easy multitasking game. We're just BSing about other stuff, laughing, having a good time. It's not rocking my socks by any means, but if you are desperate for a looter, I don't know. It's not abysmal, which is what a lot of people were telling me it would be.
I mean, I've been watching it for a while here, and it does look enjoyable. I don't know.
Combat's flashy. The game is, no matter what, even if you don't like the gameplay loop, you can't really fault the visuals in this at all. It is a genuinely impressively good-looking game.
And I'm assuming the loot is very meaningless. It seems like it. Like I felt like in Outriders and
it's a lot of shiny stuff. It's like Diablo, where most
you're just
of the stuff
picking the color, and it doesn't really change a whole lot of how you. That I can see why that's probably why it doesn't pull you in. Like Borderlands, the loot means something more than most looters I play. So, but anyway,
it reminds me of like Borderlands 1, where a lot of the loot you get, you just break down, because Borderlands 1
there's your mid-game recommendations.
Yeah,
your middling game recommendations for the week: Godfall, Biomutant.
Is it a must play? No, probably not. Probably not for anyone. But
Is it? Or did you get $30 worth of enjoyment out of it yet, Miles? That's what
I
people
need to
might want to
spend
know.
at least. That's why I'm not going to make any sweeping statements until I put in like 12 to 15 hours, because I want to make sure that I'm deep enough to understand what the core loop is, and past the initial kind of learning curve of the game. So again, I'm not going to. This is not a glowing recommendation by any means, but I am having fun. So that's something. All right, Colt, we are going to wrap up today's episode. Huge shout out to all the amazing people who joined us live. Again, if you enjoyed the show, hit that like button. If you are new to the show, we are live every Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time on youtube.com/Windows Central Gaming. Colt, always love having you on, brother. Let everyone here know where they can get a hold of you, where they can harass you about your Biomutant takes.
Oh, I know it got really quiet when I talked about liking that game, but that's the kind of cool thing about sometimes you like a game that it's like only I get to like it now because nobody else does. That's how I felt with Crackdown. You can find me at Colteastwood on YouTube. I use Instagram occasionally, but Instagram's for kids now. I'm on Twitter quite often, talking to the community and answering questions, and trying not to get into crazy arguments. But I've got a video coming out tomorrow. I just had one come out the other day about the chips, and I'm really happy with that video because a lot of stuff is changing. I think we're going to see some differences in the console generations. So thank you to everybody who supports. It's always good to be on Chaturdays. Miles, we were talking before the show. Maybe there might be a chance for Miles and I to IRL, a little IRL stuff going, maybe meet in real life.
I'm going to be in Seattle. I'm going to be in your neck of the woods end of April into May. So we'll have to link up and get some taco time, brother. Shout out to the Pacific Northwest staple. Taco time.
Taco time. Oh. Yeah, we have one left in our city. Yeah, and like I don't know how it's still open because hardly anybody goes there, but thank goodness for that.
Breaks my heart.
Yeah. It's amazing. So yeah, thanks for having me on the show, and everybody hit the like button on the way out. There's been all over 300 people here. Give Miles those likes he deserves. He's amazing, and thanks for having me on the show.
Cole, appreciate you. I'm glad we could dive into some of the drama, if you will, this week, and put a spin on it that's not super terrible and awful. Because again, we can be part of the problem or we can be part of the solution, as they say. And appreciate everyone who tunes in. Appreciate you. And that is going to do it for this week's episode. We will catch you all next week. Take care, everybody.
See ya.